Well, hello. This is Tina with Enriched by Tina, and I am here on a special night. I have been preparing you guys to let you know I had a special guest that was going to come on live with me at 6 o'clock. And so we're here. We're getting ready to I'm getting ready to get started. So I have with me waiting in the studio audience a friend of mine that I met on Clubhouse, and her name is Elisabeth King, who is a world-renowned business mindset specialist. She keeps people accountable. She helps them meet their business and personal goals, as well as their dreams and their dreams, which is her specialty. So we have an expert coming on, y'all. And when people get stuck with not taking action, that's when the mindset comes into play. And we're going to talk about that today. So I'm super excited. I'm going to bring her up so I can get her on. And we're going to try something new. Um, so I'm not for sure. Are you live yet on your Instagram? Let me.
Going live right now.
Okay, so she's going live on her Instagram, and so I am getting ready to figure out how to do this over here too. We're gonna do two things at one time. So when she goes live and I can see her, then she's gonna tune me in. So I'll be bouncing back and forth, but we are going to let's see. So I see now.
Yes.
I've got to still figure out how we're going to do this because we're joining request. So we're learning out loud, y'all. So we'll see how this works. If we're not too close and if it gives us too much feedback.
Yeah.
I think it might be too much feedback. So we may have to.
Can you lower your volume?
Okay, that's what I'll do. I'll change it over here. Y'all know how I do. You never know what you might find over here. I always try something new. So we just decided we would go with it, and I'm gonna turn my let me get it. Y'all hold tight. Don't leave because it's gonna be really good. I just gotta learn how to as my bishop would say, do you know how to work your device? Do you know how to handle your device? So I don't know whether or not if I turn down, if you will be able to hear me, but I guess we'll be able to hear you over there. Listen, we'll see how it works. We're learning out loud, guys. I see that we have a few people in our audience, so I'm going to hey Laura, look, you're faithful. You always come and tune in. I have with us Elisabeth. Like I told you, she is a mindset coach as well as a relationship specialist, and that's what she do. And so I'm just super excited to have her. She is from Canada. Is it Ontario? Tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us okay.
So just to address both of our lovely audiences here, hello everyone on our Instagram and hello everyone over here on Facebook. This is so exciting. You guys unfortunately can't see Tina over here on this side, but you can hear the conversation live over here. Tina, if you want, they'll be able to see both of us if you click accept.
Okay, so I need to come back in. Okay, let us figure it out.
Yeah.
Okay, the request. They can at least see us. Okay. Yeah.
And then both of our audiences are able. There you are.
Okay. All right. So here we are, learning out loud, doing it in two different directions, but that's okay.
I hope this one still hears us. I see what you're saying now.
You see the feedback?
Yeah. I just turned it down, but I think it's fine.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll go with it.
Yeah. I mean, at least we have this recording. Hopefully they can hear us over here. Maybe say hi if you guys can hear us on the Instagram.
Can you hear us? Oh, I hear somebody saying, "Hey, coach."
Yes, hello.
They can hear you.
Okay.
We're trying something and we'll figure this out.
Yeah. All right. I think we're great. Everyone can see us on both platforms, and we're ready to rock and roll.
All right. So tell everyone for the listening audience that
Yeah.
listen Facebook. We go on Facebook, YouTube, as well as my personal Facebook page. So that's where you're going to be showing up tonight, Elizabeth. So
All the platforms. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. I love it. Yes. So, welcome everyone. My name is Elisabeth King, better known as Coach Elisabeth King. Elizabeth spelled with an S on Instagram, all the social media platforms. I am found over there. But as Tina Lovely knows, that my Instagram is the go-to place for me. As I don't have StreamYard yet, so I'm learning from Tina as well tonight about being on multifaceted platforms. That is my goal, and that is what I'm working towards, because what I like to do is I practice what I preach, right? And so if I'm giving the mindset advice, if I'm getting the business advice, if I'm giving the accountability advice, I'm going to say, hey, you know, this is what I'm doing, this is what's working for me, this is what's working for my clients and whatnot, right? So it's all about being open, honest, and transparent. And I think that's our best policy.
oh, absolutely, absolutely, Elizabeth. And I love to learn out loud, so I'm learning how to do two things. So you get me into the Instagram world. So
Yeah,
that's what I love about collaborating with people. We learn us and we help us one to another, and we're just here to give some good information. So let's hop into the show. So what I want to ask is, what is mindset for the listening people out there?
absolutely. So how I like to describe it, and I've learned this from various my mentors, right? Because we're always learning, right? If you're not always learning, you're not always growing. As soon as you stop learning, you start dying, basically, right? Because learning keeps us alive. And so, but the more we learn, the more we expand our mind. So mindset is our mind, and we only have one of it, right? We take us wherever we go. So we want to make sure that our mindset is in tune, right? It's like we're driving. If our body is a Ferrari, our mind is the motor, right? And so we want to make sure that our motor is fine tuned and up to date, and being well maintained and well taken care of, right? So there's all these things that go into it, because think about it, we procrastinate, we get stuck, we feel unworthy in life, we feel down, right? It's all because of our mind, right? We can literally heal illnesses. I don't want to get too philosophical, too out there, but we can literally heal ourselves with the power of our minds.
Wow. You said, and healing is right up my alley, Elizabeth. So you can go there
Yeah,
because a lot of times we think a lot of things in our mind. We think ourselves, but then we start worrying, and then we start having all these internal issues that
exactly.
started in our mind.
Yes.
So my next question is, why is that so important?
It's
Having
so
that mind?
Yeah, it's so important, because this is what we bring into our lives, what we bring into every situation, every relationship, everywhere we go. We bring ourselves, and our mind is part of that, right? And so how you show up in your relationship, how you show up with your family members, how you show up in your business, in your friend group, right? It is how you think about yourself, right? Because especially when we get in arguments, especially when we get in disagreements, right? We meet people on the street that we don't necessarily like. It's like, why? Right? And it's because of the way we think, right? It's the way we think about ourselves is normally a reflection of how we think about others, right? Whatever we judge in other people, we're actually sometimes judging in ourselves without actually realizing it.
Wow. That's a lot, because that is so important. You can't do anything if you don't have a good mindset. What
Exactly.
you said how you do everything.
Hmm.
Um, it is based on that mindset. So when you have people that are, and you said another thing before I go back, like procrastination.
Hmm.
I think I have a doctorate degree in procrastination. Elizabeth,
Yes.
as you can tell, I'll wait to the last minute for something. And I got to change that mindset,
Right.
because I want to be a little bit more productive. And I don't want to put my body through that stress of trying to do something at the last minute. And then when things don't work,
Mm-hmm.
then you have created a whole nother situation had you been prepared and planned and not procrastinate. Because I thought that being at the last minute made me a professional because I can show you what I can do in the ninth hour.
Well, think about it, right? So procrastination is a very fascinating subject, right? Because it comes down to how we feel about that thing, and even when we say, "Oh, I'm not, I don't want to procrastinate on this anymore," right? But procrastination gives us benefits, right? We don't do anything either consciously or subconsciously, right? We do things based on the best benefit to us, right? Because we have to remember that there's parts of our brain that are 2 million years old, right? They're prehistoric, they're from caveman times. And so they really want, our brain literally thinks that, hey, what's the best solution that's the least path of least resistance, right? Least stressful, right? These are all the things that our brain thinks about, right? And so we tend to procrastinate to avoid certain feelings, right? To avoid certain stresses, even if the consequences is getting stressed out afterwards when we finally end up doing the task, right? But these are things that our brain kind of plays tricks on us, right? And even when we say, hey, I really want to do this, and we still end up procrastinating on it, right? That's when it's like, okay, is this actually a high priority for me? And what benefit is the procrastination doing for me, right? And what benefit it is not procrastinating on this doing for me, right? Because sometimes, depending on our style, that has, you know, the way that we've been brought up through childhood and our behavior, sometimes that's the kind of style of doing things last minute has served us, right? And so because it still serves us, we don't decide to change it, right? It's not until it stops serving us that we really decide to change things, right? But we can decide to change things earlier on if we start to recognize, hey, this is something I really want to work on, and then we start making it a higher priority.
Absolutely. I will agree with you. And I am in the process of getting out of that mindset myself. So, my other questions that I have for you is how do people get stuck?
I mean, we all get stuck, right? And I think it's a matter of circumstances, like situations, other people involved in our lives, right? Sometimes we end up getting stuck without even recognizing that we're in the hole, right? And so I think that's where, so I personally, and I can definitely give this out to your audience if anyone is looking for this kind of thing. So what I give out to all everyone for free in clubhouse rooms and whatnot, I'm sure if you weren't in that room, I probably mentioned it because I mentioned it in most rooms, but tracking what you do during the day, right? And tracking how you feel about those things, because right, when we track our mood and we track how we're feeling and we track what we're doing, like, say for instance, like you end up reading, like, there's like the micro level of being stuck, right? Like the day-to-day kind of tasks that end up getting us stuck, and then there's also the bigger, like, I'm stuck, like I'm feeling down, like for several days in a row, kind of like going to that episodes of depression, right? And so, but in order to really combat those things, what I find, because I was definitely one of those people who I was always finding myself feeling stuck, feeling down and whatnot. I used to have high anxiety disorder, depression, and then everything, all those things, right? And so how I really worked myself out of those things and changed my mindset around it is I started paying more attention to me and paying more attention to how I was thinking, how I was feeling, what I was doing, right? And noticing, like, things that triggered me, things that set me off, to get me in that mindset where if you don't start recognizing those things, more things pile on top, right? And then that's where you end up feeling like you're stuck, right? You're down, right? And so
Absolutely.
what I like to do is, like, when you start tracking those things, you're actually unpacking the baggage, right? We're all carrying around this heavy luggage, this suitcase, right? And I don't know about you, but if you've ever backpacked like I have, it's not fun to carry around a backpack
Oh,
that,
absolutely not.
right? And so when we start unpacking that and start really bringing to light these issues that we're dealing with on a day-to-day basis, right? Because think about it, no, there's no fantasy, there's no happy, it's not happy, cheerful, no problems all every time, right? There's going to be sometimes like that, and sometimes when there's a lot of problems, right? And so just like for instance, right, I was stuck in traffic earlier today, right? And I that used to really, really bother me. And I used to get like all like riled up and all like angry. And I'm like, now I just like listen to some good music, turn on a podcast or an audio book, right? And so I now recognize that kind of thing that could set me off to trigger me, right? But I'm constantly unpacking that baggage. I'm not stuffing more things. I'm not avoiding, right? Because that's really what gets us end up being stuck, right? We're avoiding the problem. We're avoiding the problem. We're avoiding the problem until it gets so overwhelming that it's like, whoa, right? Like now it's not right. Because think about it, like you could get in an argument with someone, but it wasn't what they said. It was the 10 million other things that have happened in your life, or it's been the 10th time they've said that, and now you're getting upset about it. No, right? You want to unpack that the very first moment it happens.
Absolutely. And you're right. When you have a situation and you keep piling it on and you keep piling it on, and we're right now we are in a 21-day journal thing, and one of the days, and one of the sisters is on, just made me, it's like drop the weights.
Yeah,
So we have to begin to take off those things that is weighing us down,
exactly.
because if you don't, it will overtake you. And I have to talk about it. My mom died about, it's getting ready to be 3 years coming up in June.
Mm,
And during that time, I didn't deal with those emotions.
mm-hmm,
And so I continued to eat, and I kept eating, and I kept
mm-hmm,
eating, Elizabeth, till I found myself 285 pounds,
mm-hmm,
because I didn't want to deal with that such great loss. I didn't
exactly.
want to talk about it. And so I had my friends and they bought me my cookie cakes and pies. That's what I like.
Yeah.
And I steady ate them. And then when I went to the doctor, that's when it's like, you on your way to being a diabetic. So I had to very quickly shift, because I was on my way down a downward spiral to being a diabetic, where I was going to prick myself, check it, and eat, and all these other things. And when you start taking the different medicines,
Mm-hmm,
then they have other adverse reactions, which means that was going to be other things I was going to have to do. So I'm glad you said that. You have to deal with stuff or it will overtake you.
exactly.
So if someone is listening, what would be some tips that you would give, a few tips to help them get unstuck?
Yeah, absolutely. It's for me. There are so many practices that you can do, right? And I'll list off a couple. So meditation, self reflection, a gratitude journal, an accomplishments journal, right? These are things that we start to recognize. Oh, hey, what are we actually happy about in our lives, right? What kind of things can we improve on, right? Meditation, grounding techniques, right? It all seems a little, out there when you do it, but it's also how are you taking care of yourself, right? Because we have to remember our body is one big machine, right? And you think about it this way. I love cars, so I like to use car analogies because we all can, no matter where you are in the world, everyone there's cars, right? And so think about it this way. If you have a flat tire, how can the car, you can still keep going with a flat tire, right? But you're not going to keep moving efficiently, right? And so this is where extra, like getting some physical activity, making sure you're getting the proper nutrition, drinking enough water, right? And what I like to do, to especially as I mentioned before, unpacking that suitcase every single day, is with the self reflection. So what I like to do is at the end of the day, or you could do it at the beginning of the day, the middle of the day, whatever feels most comfortable for you, right? As I mentioned before, these are the things I recommend to my clients. These are the things that I've done myself, right? And so what personally works for best for me is at the end of the day, right? Because if you're like me, I had used to be an insomniac. I used to go to bed at 6 a.m. My mind would never stop racing, right? And so what I started to do is I started to write, right? I wrote down everything I was thinking before I went to bed, right? Because our mind just wants to remember, right? What's all the things I gotta remember, right? All the ideas and every like right because we're stressed out. We want all the like situations play back in our minds, right? And so how can you work through those? And so one of the methods that is easier than some of the other deeper stuff, which I do personally for my clients, but an easy method of doing it is really that self-reflection, asking yourself, how did your day go, right? How could you improve your day for tomorrow? What things kind of set you off? What things went great? What things can you be grateful for, right? And so I like to all the things of like gratitude, self-reflection, accomplishments, I like to encompass them all in that whether you want to call it a journal, a diary, a self-reflection note, right? That's what I like to do every single day because it keeps me right not only accountable, but I talk I write down how my goals are going, right? What things I did get accomplished, what things that need to be more worked on, right? Did I procrastinate that day? Did I have high energy, right? I also check in with my mood. How was my mood throughout that day, right? I'm like, think about it. If we had like a car with all the like diameters and
Mm-hmm.
how's the gas tank, the energy, how's the speed, how's the engine, is it hot, is it cold,
My
right?
God.
Just being aware of all those are so important to maintain that like that healthy, happy lifestyle and mindset.
Wow. Elizabeth, I'm telling you, you are the expert. You are, when you say it gets to mindset, that's where it begins. I'm going to give you your flowers and your kudos right now. I have a couple of, one person that I can see their comments, and she said, come on now. That's what I'm talking about. So she's really enjoying what you're saying. And she was getting ready to ask, like, if you're stuck, how to get unstuck. So you gave some good tips to tell people how to get unstuck. But before we go, I have two people that asked me questions prior to this, and
Absolutely.
I thought I had wrote them down, but I didn't. I didn't put them in front of me, so I got to look over for just a second.
No worries.
One question says, "How can I get out of the feeling that I'm not enough?" Because many times people have that what you call it,
Yeah, it's that
imposter syndrome.
imposter
And they,
syndrome. It's that the unworthiness.
yes,
And
yes.
so I'll 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 give it to you guys straight. It doesn't matter who you are in the world. And this is literally coming out of the words of Tony Robbins. Because when he said this, it truly struck a chord with me. Right? He said it doesn't matter who you are, what you do, where you are in the world, how much money you have, how much influence you have. You could be a billionaire, you could be the world's most richest person, and you could still at times feel unworthy. And still feel that that longing for to be better at something, right? Even if you were the best person at something, you have the awards, the trophies. It's this primal. It's, again, remember, our brain is 2 million years old, right? Parts of our brain is 2 million years old. So there's still going to be instances where we feel this way, right? And so I think that's encouraging because it lets us know, hey, this isn't something that's wrong with me, right? This isn't something that like is bad about me. There's just going to be times where I don't feel that great about myself, right? And so, and I say this because, right, it's about giving ourselves that love, right? So giving ourselves that recognition of, to remind ourselves that, hey, you know, we even if you have the most super powerful, best mindset ever, you're still going to have times where it's not going to feel that way. right? As
Absolutely.
there's still going to be ebbs and flows in life, right? And there's still going to be down times where you have to remind yourself of your worthiness, of how great you are, right? And so there's definitely different ways of doing that, right? You could have I'm a very visual auditory person, so like vision boards and audio notes and pictures that remind us of, like, personally for me, I as people were mentioning before, I get a lot of great feedback of my mindset tips. But hey, even I struggle with this sometimes, right? And so I keep a folder of the things that to remind myself of, why I'm doing this and why I love doing this and the people that I've helped, right? Just those things that bring you back, right? Because again, and
Absolutely.
that's where it comes back down to unpacking, right? And asking yourself, why am I feeling a little unworthy right now, right? Why am I feeling a little bit sad right now? Why am I feeling a little down on myself, right? And that's really where, when you recognize these things and you're more in tune with yourself, you can really notice these things quicker, right? And then when you notice something quicker, you're right. You're not going to be stuck, right? You're not going to be stuck in that mindset, that feeling for very long, right? Maybe it happens for 5 minutes, right? Think about it this way, right? If you were feeling this way for weeks on end, right? And then
Mm,
you worked on it, then you moved it down to a couple of days on end the next time it happens, right? It's just like, it's like, I call it the brain gym, right? The more
mm,
we work out our brain, right? At first it's, when you go to the gym, it's a little sore and it doesn't feel good, and but the more you work out, right? You first start with like 5 pounds, and then you can move up to 10 pounds, right? And so the more you do this work, the easier it gets. So you end up getting to a point where, hey, even if you have those thoughts of that unworthiness and whatnot, it only lasts for like a couple moments, and then it switched back, right? And so
right.
that's the more you work out your brain and the mindset stuff, right? The easier it gets. But I like to say that, hey, we we can't replace those 2 million old parts. So
Come on.
these thoughts are still going to pop up from time to time. So just recognize
Yes.
when they do, to give yourself that love, to give yourself that care and support, to recognize that this is normal, and you're gonna move forward from this.
Absolutely. And I remember something that you said early on when we talked about ways that they can get unstuck. And when you find yourself not being enough, that's when you can go back to those journals
Yes.
that you wrote out your accomplishments.
Yes.
Then you can come back and tell those negative thoughts, those negative self thoughts, I am enough. Because
Mhm.
listen, I did this, and
Yes.
I did this, and I did that. So get out of my way with these crazy thoughts, because I am more than enough. I'm
Mhm.
actually more than a conqueror, you know. So we ain't gonna go there, because I can take you to church tonight, but we're not gonna go there. So anyway, and I like the fact that you said about um um doing some reflection, like write out your day,
Mhm.
find out what went well and what didn't go well. What
Exactly.
can you change? So when you have something to look back on, it's a track record. So
Yes.
therefore, when these negative talks and these things come in, you, as they say, as the young people say, check the tape,
Yeah.
see what you've done, see what
Exactly.
those victories are. And
Mhm.
so, the last question I have for you is, how do you stop allowing people to misuse and mishandle you?
So that comes down to our mindset about ourselves, right? Like I said at the beginning, we take us everywhere, right? And so, yes, especially when we're in situations, I'll give you a perfect example, right? And so, say it's your brother, right? Well, you've known your brother for the last 30 plus years, and this is a behavior that has been ingrained, right? But if a person on the street that you just met treated you the same way as your brother, right? Then that you wouldn't accept that, right? So it's all about setting boundaries, right? When it comes to that kind of thing, right? If you don't feel like you're being treated well, you don't feel like right? If you feel like you're being used or misheard or miss, right? Not the behavior isn't aligned, right? You don't feel that energy. We're just energetic beings, right? We gotta protect our energy and protect
Absolutely.
ourselves, and right, and setting those boundaries with people who aren't meeting our needs and aren't meeting what we need. And I don't care if it's your mother, I don't care if it's your spouse, I don't care who it is. We have to put ourselves first, right? Like they say when you're flying, if the plane's crashing, put on your oxygen mask first before the other person, because if you keep allowing these people to misuse you and abuse you, whatever it may be, right? You're only hurting you, and you have to take you wherever you go, right?
Look, I done fell out because you're right. We take us everywhere we go.
Yes.
And in the over here, they're saying that they like the question about not enough. Doing journals is doing good. And I have a listener over here say that she's gonna have to start setting some boundaries.
Hmm.
She's gonna have
It's
to
just
start setting some boundaries.
it's getting like I told you, it's gonna be uncomfortable at first, but the more that you do this, the more that you start those setting those boundaries, having those conversations, or depends on who the other person is, right? To not get too much into it for the sake of our time tonight, right?
Yeah.
That sometimes the person's open to the conversation, sometimes you just kind of have to, you know it's not really a conversation. It's more like, hey, I'm not comfortable with this anymore. Like, I'm shutting down the conversation, and you don't need to tell them why, right? But when you constantly do that, right? I've done this in my own life. There's people in my life that they haven't been the best influences on me, and I'm like, hey, when the conversation goes negative, when the conversation isn't serving, like isn't doing the best for us anymore, or right, or spending more time with those people, it's like, no, you know I'm putting myself first, because you know why? When we put ourselves first, we have the ability to show up better. And when we can show up better for ourselves, we show up better for everyone else, right? And so we gotta put ourselves first, keep ourselves healthy, so that we can show up better for everyone else in our lives.
That is so true. I mean, you said a now mouthful. Now, I'm telling you, those of you that's on Instagram listening and that will get the replay, and those of you that's on YouTube or Enriched by Tina or even my personal page, take these tips that Elizabeth has been saying. They are some life changing words. And if you feel that you're in the place that you may need a coach, this is how you can get in touch with her. She's Elizabeth. She's Coach Elisabeth King on Instagram. And who are you on Clubhouse? Is Elizabeth
Elizabeth King. Yes.
Elizabeth King. So if you're on there, do you do a show? Do you have a room on a regular basis?
I am planning on it. Just, Tina, you are inspiring me to be more, at least active in that sense. A show, a talk, that is
Okay,
in the
okay. Well, I'm so glad I was able to do that for you because, hey, like I said, we all help us one to another. I had two more comments. Let's see if anybody. Oh, they said thank you so much. They have thoroughly enjoyed you, and so it's up here. I'm gonna put it on my page. So if you're looking for a coach and you're trying to get unstuck, check out Elizabeth. She knows her stuff, y'all.
even
And
even just to reach out. Any follow up questions after listening to this, right? As I mentioned earlier, I have a time tracker that I like to give out to people so they can make sure they're tracking their day, how they're feeling, what they're doing, right? And so
okay,
that also make sure to reach out to me for any follow up questions, any guidance. I am more than happy to help.
okay. So her DMs is open on Instagram.
Yes.
Check her out. She has a free thing that she's giving out to you that you can click on and figure out how to chart your day. Y'all, I'm going over to get me one. I got to look at my day, see how I'm doing. And for those of you that listen out here, I also have a free book. It's Sugar the Sweet Curse. It's in my bio link on Instagram. So if you want to get to find out how sugar affects your body, I give you some good tips. And so go on there and check it out on Instagram to get you a free book, Sugar the Sweet Curse. And I hope you have enjoyed Enriched by Tina and Coaching with Elisabeth. We did a tag team tonight. First time we both did Instagram and all these things at the same time. We was doing it big on a special night. So y'all tune in to Enrich by Tina tomorrow's Fitness Friday. So I'll have something on. So she has inspired me to start trying to get the Instagram people involved because I have a lot of different set of people on Instagram. So this was a learning curve for me as well, Elizabeth. So we're like they say, iron sharpening iron. We're both getting out our comfort zone,
Yes,
and there's no limit to what God can do to
exactly.
a woman, because we're women right now who don't care who gets the credit. So we don't care if she get a client, if I get a client, it don't really matter. We help someone tonight, so we can tag team, and we'll be hearing more from you. I'll get you back again, and we can talk about another mindset and do something else.
Absolutely.
So until next time, y'all, remember to make great choices. Tune in tomorrow night for Fitness Friday. Take care. All right. Bye.
Bye.